During our recent Cape York trip, we decided to do the Cockatoo Creek to the PDR road just for a bit of adventure. After walking across the creek to determine the line, we decided to move ahead with our drive, and right about here we go crunch. I hadn't seen a rock on the left hand side and it gouged through, nearly ripping the side step off and putting a couple of nice grooves in the passenger side doors. Oh well. Anyway, here goes. We're about to enter into Cockatoo Creek, which is reasonably deep, and we've got to keep to the right a bit as we go in here, because if you go off to the left, it really is going to take your probably car away with the way the current's flowing. You see the car dive in there. There was a bit of a pothole, but we kept going and pursued that line that I'd already decided to take, and before we knew it, we'd got across and pulled up onto the sand on the other side. Stopping momentarily to find out what further damage we'd done to the car, we took off again up the rest of the departure. It was a little bit wet, but we kept on going anyway, and ultimately made it up out of the creek onto the level ground surrounding it. With so much traffic on the old Teletrack now, some of these approaches and departures are getting really torn up, and this was one of the main reasons we decided not to do the whole Teletrack in the first place. But I'd always had in my mind that I didn't want to damage my car, but well, it happened anyway, and I guess that's what we've got to put up, I guess, alongside the decision that we made to go ahead and do this section. Deep ruts make it exciting every now and again, and every so often you've got to pull up, reverse back a little bit and pick maybe a better line to make sure you can get through. Generally speaking, it seems to be as you're coming up out of the creeks or going down into the creeks, this is when obviously the most damage is done due to erosion coming down the tracks. As I said before, so much traffic. Heavy wet season this year has obviously contributed to the amount of erosion that has occurred, but it certainly makes for some interesting driving. With the track generally smooth in between some of the creek crossings, you can generally get up to a fairly good clip, so 20 to 30 kilometres an hour is pretty regular. And every so often you've just got to slow down for maybe a tricky little section just to get through a little smaller creek line. But mostly up on the flat, the track's in reasonable condition, and it does go through a lot of different, landscape types. One minute you're on sand, next minute you're on kind of a bit of a lateritic iron-based surface. Sometimes you're in the clays, but it all makes for an interesting traverse of the teletrack. With the recent Cockatoo Creek crossing damage to the car, I was making sure that I was missing all obstacles that were coming up in front of me, being ultra careful and making sure that I wasn't going to do any further damage. Keeps the track interesting, albeit, but yeah, I was already still, well, I guess I was still upset at the fact that I'd damaged the car. But you've just got to keep moving. You can't change something that's already happened, but we persisted and kept on moving up the track. Without a doubt, we definitely picked the right time to travel. Pre the July school holidays is really the best time to go in my opinion. There was a lot less traffic and it made travelling up the track so much easier. I'd even got to the point where I was taking the odd chicken track just to make sure I wasn't going to do any further damage. Sometimes you just got to do it, and sometimes you might take a brave decision, but this time the chicken track it was. And then every now and again, you decide to go one way and then you change your mind. So back up a little bit and take the line that you should have taken in the first place. Oh, another water crossing. It's always a good bit of fun to be had with these crossings, but you're never quite sure what's just underneath that surface. Is it mud or is it solid ground? So you just take the punt and drive through and hope that you get to the other side. The scenery is ever changing, and sometimes you're driving through just normal savanna country, and other times you're almost in rainforest. But I guess that's what's so interesting in travelling in the Cape. It's just beautiful landscape, and the changes are what makes it so interesting. It was only a matter of time before we met someone else on the track, and hopefully when you come up behind somebody like this, they let you by. So we'll follow along behind for a little while, and once they see us in their rear vision mirrors and the fact that we're going a little bit faster than them, they will hopefully pull over and let us by. Yeah, they know we're here now, so it won't be long. I'm sure as soon as they get a chance to pull over, they'll let us by. Thanks fellas, appreciate it. See you somewhere up the track. So if you're travelling up the Cape and you decide you want that little bit of adventure, like we decided to do, then the section from Cockatoo Creek up to the PDR is relatively, I guess, benign compared to a lot of the other sections. Palm Creek is getting pretty bad now, Gunshot is getting pretty bad, and as you go further north and you get closer to Nolan's, well, you've probably all seen some of the mishaps that occur there. So if you do want that little bit of adventure, then and you're going up the Cape, then maybe try this section, but watch out for that rock as you approach the southern side of Cockatoo Creek. At first I thought we were going to have to cross this rickety old bridge, but looking at it a little bit more closely, I didn't see too many tracks going across it, and there was a drop off on the left hand side, so the chicken track again won out. This looked that much more, I guess, interesting on a second glance, so I reversed back a bit just so I could get my wheels in the right place. More of this deep, heavy rutting and erosion trenches, you've really got to watch the sides of your vehicle as you're going through it. It's like driving through a big gutter, and it's very easy to clip the sides. So when you do it, just take it easy and make sure that you stay right in the middle. One thing I did notice while travelling along this track was that every so often there's these little, I guess, car parks on the side of the road, whether it's where you come off the PDR or whether you come back onto the track, where you can park or leave your caravan if you want to go in and have a look-see at the Teletrack. So it's a great idea, and I don't know if any security issues exist around leaving your van somewhere, but if you're only going for a quick look, I guess it's an option so that you don't need to drag that caravan along the Teletrack, because that certainly wouldn't be recommended. Well, that takes us to the end of this little section of the track that runs between Cockatoo Creek and the PDR Road. We had a great time, apart from our little mishap, which I'm still not happy about, but thanks for coming along for the ride with us, and we hope you get up the Cape soon.